Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Are you ready? Let's get ready to ramp up your sails. And now the man you've been waiting for. He is the real thriller in Manila. The undisputed, undefeated, reigning, defending, pound for pound, heavyweight John, the sales machine, Rankins.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is the founder and president of the Luxus Group, a company that aims to provide an overall travel solution for affluent families seeking enhanced vacation experiences and unique luxury real estate opportunities. Founded in 2007, he has grown the Luxus Group into a global portfolio of luxury vacation properties and unique real estate investments. He has owned and managed over 50 luxury properties and hospitality assets with a value of over $100 million in 6 different countries. He has also serviced more than 20,000 client vacations to take trips to these properties, making him one of the most experienced and successful entrepreneurs in this industry. Please welcome the man behind the Luxus Group, Stephen Petasky.
Thanks. What an intro. I appreciate that very much, John. It's awesome to be here and grateful to be sharing our story with your guests. Hopefully there'll be some a nugget or two along the way.
I love the story about Disney and how it all went, it was all right, then it all went wrong, and then, universe helped you guys out and you and your family got to continue on at Disney. So tell me about the journey of, obviously people can check that story out on your LinkedIn profile, which was touching to me because I come from a place of give and you shall receive. There's more than enough for everybody, especially when you're a giver. So tell me, how you connected the dots, as a child to come across forming the Luxus Group. Like what really inspired you and gave you the confidence to do that?
Sure. Happy to share the story. And I will go into that Disney, and it is on my LinkedIn account, but just very interesting when you have formative experiences as a child that kind of like when you think back to everything you've done, like what has kind of created a certain path for you. And for me, that was that moment watching my parents' hotel. We were already didn't have any money as a family, and motel, I should say, room gets broken into, steal everything but your passports, including your Disney tickets for our first time on an airplane and our first time to Disneyland, every kid's dream. And then to see the giving of our neighbors who also got broken into to give us their passes with that, which I think was the best thing of giving is the giving with zero expectation of return. And that was the true epitome of that, because they were literally going to an airplane and they could have sold those. They could have found someone to buy them, could have asked $100 a ticket. They just gave them to us and then they moved on. And there's no way for us to even thank them. And so I think that when I was, how old was I? Can't remember, 8 or 9 years old. It's like, wow, like that's, as a child, you're kind of blissfully unaware of what's happening, but then you start to realize the impact that had. And I'm like, well, this was very cool. And, mom and dad crying and just a very kind of emotional, roller coaster that 24 hours. And then, as you start to think back as once to a teenager and found a passion in planning travel. I just loved planning vacations experience for others. It was just kind of my thing I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed watching the joy on people's faces after an amazing experience. At that time, it was camping or houseboating or, little golf trips. And then it kind of grew and grew and grew. And then fast forward to 2007, we launched the Luxus Group, and that ended up becoming the true platform for us to create memorable experiences and give memorable experiences to thousands of people. And it's been an awesome ride. I'm happy to give you the kind of the almost 20-year history now, which is hard to believe we're coming up on 18 years. But how we've progressed from just a very small, coffee shop style company to where we are today, and it's been a fun ride. But the mission's never changed. Continue to make these memorable experiences for people.
I want to know how you evolved your system and your confidence during that time, whether it was camping trips or different experiences that you were like facilitating for people, to now the evolution into developing over $100 million of properties and resorts? Like, honestly, that's an evolution. You don't just jump out the gate with that sort of confidence.
Yeah, well, thanks. You know what? It was when we started. I'll give the quick like why in '07. What was the catalyst that kicked us off down this road? And while I was in a different career, my wife was in a different career, but she was pregnant in '06 with our first of two children, and we had friends who would come to us and be like, "Steve, I know you like travel, but get used to having kids. There's no more travel. It sucks. You can't take them on airplanes. They're eating the sand. You can't take them to hotels are expensive." It was like this big like doom and gloom on end of 2020 or end of 2006 rather, about how travel is going to suck for our family. And I just felt like, no, this is like what brought my wife and I together. It's what my joy and passion's been for all those years. And I said, you know what, there has to be a better way. And we kind of looked at three options as a family once our son was born, or leading up to it, discussing them. What could be the three options? So one would be hotels, which is really good for kids from the perspective of it's consistent and you know what you're going to get, but sucks from the perspective that it's expensive and small. So having your baby in the hotel room kind of takes the whole romance of going to a hotel out of it. And then it's just not that much fun. It's pricey. You have lots of variety, but at the end of the day, we were kind of graduated above hotel rooms, even though not financially, but at least I guess in how we wanted to travel. Option number two was going to vacation rentals. So like Vrbo, this is pre-Airbnb days. Vrbo was the only option. And Vrbo, still today, it's certainly monumentally better, but they still can't guarantee a consistent experience. So we like the concept of kitchens and our own space and multiple bedrooms, but we didn't like the idea of getting there and not being totally certain of what experience you're going to get. Especially as a young family, we're freaking out, new parents, trying to find our way. You just don't want your kid on some floor that you don't know how it's been cleaned, or a pool that maybe hasn't been cleaned properly. So we kind of kiboshed that idea. And then option number three was, okay, well, let's own our own second home. And we didn't have the money for it at the time, but we thought, well, that's good because it's consistent. We set it up the way we want to set up and we know what we're getting. But the biggest drawback was, in addition to finances, was lack of variety. You only have one home to go to, and we really wanted to travel the world and have our kids exposed to new experiences and create that lifestyle for them. So we thought, well, is there a fourth option? Is there something else we can do differently? And we thought, wouldn't it be great if we had multiple vacation homes around the world that we owned, that were all set up to a hotel standard experience? We're like, that would be awesome. And realized that doesn't exist. So it's like, how do we create that? And we created it through creating like a syndication. We brought in 18 friends and family. We all put in a couple $100,000, raised $3.5 million, and we bought a condo in Maui, a home in Phoenix, and a lake property in Western Canada. And that kind of became our conduit to experiencing with other people these great, wonderful properties. They were set up a very specific way. We knew what type of sleep we were going to get. We had playpens and booster seats in all the homes, so we'd have to pack that stuff. It had salon grade hair dryers, so my wife didn't have to pack. She was a journalist, a news anchor, so she didn't have to pack, half a suitcase worth of like, amenity products to kind of for grooming products, I should say. And we had it set up great. And that was the kickoff. We didn't have any staff or a team, but we had this vision to say, we can make this a lot bigger if people start telling their friends. Well, sure enough, in 2007, we kicked it off. And then those 18 people told 18 people, and it just continued to snowball. We'll get into the whole sales aspect later, but it ended up growing. We ended up raising close to $100 million and bought 50 properties, all through one family at a time. It's basically like 5 families per property is kind of how it worked out to be. So we grew this really fun kind of first iteration of Luxus for that 7-8 years. And then we built a real team, and we had a head office, and we had asset managers and concierge. So like I would download my vision of the perfect vacation experience, and then these concierge team would just make it better by enhancing it. And when they dealt with John's family for their trip to Hawaii, they knew that John loved snorkeling and their wife liked diving and they liked nice meals. So they would create a custom itinerary for you. So kind of like what you would get at the Four Seasons from a concierge perspective, but all through these individually owned and managed vacation homes. And that was kind of the version that kind of snowballed into something more significant. And then I'll kind of give you iteration 2 and 3, and then you can fire away any questions. But in 2014, we thought maybe we can be a developer as well. Maybe we could build the perfect vacation home for people. And there's a lot of reasons why we did this, but we ended up, crafting some really wonderful relationships with people around the world. And we thought, man, these markets are really good from a vacation rental perspective. I think we do a really good job building these. Let's go and build some products. So we, again, raised capital through individual partners, and we built a project in Hawaii, a project in Southern California, and a project in Tuscany, Italy. So kind of three very wide-ranging darts across the global map, but there was reasons why we chose those markets. And that was the next 7 years. And we learned a lot. We got a lot of punches in the throat, a lot of things that we didn't expect. And some did well and some did poorly, but all three of the products at the end of the day were amazing. They were world-class. They served their attention. And we learned a lot. And then I go to our final kind of phase is that COVID hit. And our main core business, like all of our primary people in our core business were in Canada. And Canada was really locked down during the pandemic to the point where all of our properties globally were empty because they were basically used by the owners themselves, not outside renters. And we thought, man, this is kind of a bummer. It totally sucked. It was a very, very, very hard year and a half with our business, and we didn't know if we're going to make it. We believed we would, but in our original version, our 1.0 version, was not as sustainable as maybe we thought. It was paying the bills, but not a chance to kind of see the thriving nature that originally was. So we shifted gears and we did two things. We split the offices up. We have an office in New York and an office in Italy, in Tuscany, and that forms the basis of the ground up division, the development side. I have a managing partner there, and now we're building some pretty significant projects. We've got a Marriott project, a Four Seasons project in Las Vegas, and now we're talking, the Four Seasons project is an over $1 billion sellout. So it completely changed the trajectory of the company. So as hard as COVID was, it forced us out of our comfort zone to take luxury and experience to now a different level. And it's been just remarkable dealing with these organizations who are the most, sophisticated hospitality companies on the planet. And they've mentored us and given us incredible feedback and wisdom. And so that division now basically has this Italy side and Tuscany, creating these beautiful private estates for families and these ground up, significant projects. And then I found through that journey to say, wow, maybe for the main core business of providing these guest experiences globally, instead of owning the assets, maybe we can just manage them. And that's been our big shift. So we're just actually launching literally next month in February, a global rental portfolio. So shifting from our original 50 homes, now we're going to try to grow to 500 homes over the next 5 years. And we're basically a property management company that provides this Luxus branded experience. This is like that Four Seasons meets Airbnb, but it's Luxus is the brand. And so when you travel, John, and you want to go to Hawaii with your family, you look up luxusvp.com and you'd say there's 30 properties in Hawaii. You know exactly the sleep you're going to get, what the coffee mugs you have in your hand look like. There's always going to be coffee at the properties, and you have a very certain and specific and consistent experience. And that's been a lot of fun because I think it's been my dream to grow something to a point that is global, and it allows us to serve not a couple thousand people, but a couple 100,000 people, or maybe a couple million people. So it's just over that 20-year time frame, it went from servicing my friends to a few investors to a lot of investors to now, hopefully we'll serve the world in a more meaningful way. And that's just the trajectory the business has been on. It's been lots of ebbs and flows, to say the least, but it's been a fun ride, and we're still riding it.
Hey, man, ride on. A lot of people, and it's interesting, you said in 2007 you started all of this. And in 2008, there was a global economic crisis. I don't know if you remember that. So I built a Harley Davidson destination because my older brother is like a biker, right? Not like some outlaw biker freak. He loves to ride the Harleys and stuff like that. To give back to my family, I set up a Harley Davidson experiential shop. I don't even have a tattoo, but there's there's a service center. My brothers built custom Harleys and won awards, and there's a restaurant. And
amazing.
And it completely failed because 2008 came around, and people couldn't afford to keep their house. They stopped spending on their motorcycles or going out to eat.
Yeah.
They became really conservative. And so, $500,000 in.
Yeah, you know what? We look at these economic cycles as probably our best growth opportunities because so much disruption in the It's harder for the smaller businesses, and we're still small relative to where we want to be, but we had enough resources to be able to weather it. And then when you can weather it, when you're coming up the upside, you just have this massive head start over the competition for growth. So 08, 09, 10 were very, very slow. And then 11, 12, 13, 14 were totally gangbusters. And because everyone else in our industry, and I'm generalizing, but the majority of people went bankrupt, wound up shop, or merged up or bought up. And we had enough to kind of, weather the storm and then allow it. If you can be positioned perfectly at the bottom of whatever that cycle is, and you don't know when that is, that's a crystal ball, no one has it. But if you can be positioned well for that, you'll have such a monumental head start over the competition. And that's really what accelerated our growth. 2010 being in a position to take advantage of the wave on the way back up, not way down.
I'm forever grateful for that experience because it taught me a lot about scaling businesses. I've been running a business for more than 30 years, and I didn't even claim bankruptcy from that business. I paid all the suppliers. I walked away with integrity. Everyone got paid. I just decided to move on. But it really taught me how to systemize everything I did in business.
Yeah.
Truth be told, crisis equals opportunity, right? And like when COVID hit for me, I tripled my business. I literally tripled my business. I went from 232 salespeople to 656 in a year.
Wow.
That experience with Minus Motorcycles, actually with my brothers, actually empowered me later to just go on a quest to systemize everything I do in my business, right? Because for me, if there's holes in your business, it doesn't matter how good you are.
Yeah.
The money can come in the front door and go right out the back.
Yes.
I love the fact that crisis equals opportunity. So it sounds like you were positioned 2008, global mortgage crisis, all the property market tanked.
Mm-hmm.
This is a perfect opportunity and a perfect storm. When you've got money, there's a crisis, and real estate all drops in your industry. It's a perfect storm to take advantage and go out there and buy more luxury properties to scale your business. Is that what happened?
Nailed it. Yeah, exactly right. We were in a really good position. We were well capitalized because we had lots of investors coming our way curious. And I think part of it was just like the perfect storm of opportunity. We just were positioned to take advantage of it. But people, instead of buying their own second homes, thought this fractional or syndicated approach was a more economically prudent way to move when they're coming out. So we had a higher concentration of people wanting to invest with us. In the midst of that, we had all these incredible buying opportunities, like a once in a lifetime buying opportunity of assets. And it's hard, you never cheer for a recession because it's a hard thing for a lot of people. But the only way to honor a really hard time is to get through it and ultimately, be part of the system that pulls you out of that difficult time. And in our particular case, if we can put ourselves in a position to, in this economic reset, whatever it may look like, can allow us to be like an economic driver and hiring people in Corey when others are shrinking, I would be thrilled. So that's part of our mission.
I see it always as there's always the other side, regardless of what's going on. The challenge a lot of entrepreneurs have, or business owners, through my own experience, because I built companies in Southeast Asia for more than 30 years.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I've coached CEOs in Australia, America, England, all over the world. Like for a while, I was just putting myself out there, giving them my sales systems to blow up their business, to allow them to grow with systems. And I always come from a place and space of, number one, you got to know your value proposition first and foremost. I don't care about your idea. What's your value proposition? Number one. And then number two, I always go into what's your runway.
Yeah.
Like I need to know financially where you're at and how many months or years you're going to be, able to scale this thing, not just sustain it, but scale it.
Yeah.
Because when those opportunities come, if you don't have a runway, you're not going to be able to take advantage of those opportunities. You're going to be on the sidelines, right? You're not going to be in the game. You're going to be watching what everybody else is doing in the game.
Yeah.
That's what I found out during COVID, and I've always had this mindset that professionals prepare, amateurs wing it.
Yeah.
A lot of people got taken out by COVID because it's like a black swan event. It's something that's completely different than anything that's happened in history.
Yep.
Everything relies on the internet and or people going to work. And it just disrupted the world, right?
Sure did.
But yet other industries scaled unbelievably. Like look at Zoom. Zoom was, a great technology that was out there, but I know you've heard of Skype.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what? You can only, like I've spent many years winging it too. Like I think as any entrepreneur on their way up, you're trying to see what sticks. And we've done I'm telling you all the good things. I haven't told you all the bad things, but like we tried other things that didn't work out as well. And we had to stick through them because, as you mentioned earlier, we're a company of integrity that we see our things through till the end, as hard as they may be and unprofitable or money losers. But I'd rather sleep better at night knowing we exited something with grace. And so not everything's perfect. And now that we're growing up as a company, and it takes 2 decades to kind of grow up as a company. And now I like to think we are a professional organization and we approach things with a much more professional lens through experience. And sometimes people just, I don't say quit when the going gets tough, but it's a series of circumstances may let people leave an opportunity before it's fully baked. And that's what I always see is kind of like the sad thing. Because I'm like, man, if you just stuck it out for 5 to 7 more years, you'd be like the biggest gig in town. But it's hard for people to see that.
You tell a young person stick it out for 5 to 7 more years, and they'll think you are the Antichrist.
It's the truth. 5 to 7 weeks sounds like about maximum for most at the younger age. Yeah.
You want to be an overnight success? It takes 20 years.
It takes 20 years.
Like that's what I know. And it's not true for everybody, but let's be real. Let's be relatable and relevant with, the most successful people in the world. They went through their ups and downs. And what's profound is a lot of the people that do get rich quick, they get poor quick too. It's
true. I've a number of friends that have got rich very fast. Let's say 5 to 10 years fast. Like it's certainly, I don't know anyone aside from winning the lottery or having to have the perfect piece of tech at the exact right time in the exact right pandemic or whatever it may be. They make lots of money in a short period of time. Everyone takes a while to go through the ebb and flows, but real big, large, sustainable, meaningful companies, they need to go through a couple cycles, and there's a cycle every decade or so to really see how you weather the storm with it. And then I think that, the biggest thing, sales, company, everything it's just all the long game. And I think you made a good point with this generation upcoming, having a very difficult time seeing the long game, because it's always like, where do I make the quickest buck? And I'll give you an example that I'm sure you'll appreciate, but everyone should be involved, every human being, basically, even if you're an introvert, and I'm actually more of an introvert than an extrovert, I think it's called a situational extrovert. I can be like I am today, but I prefer my alone time. I have my natural tendency to go that route. But we're looking to launch an intern program for this new division. And we've never had an intern program. And the first thing all these interns want to know is how much they're getting paid. And I said, well, I don't know. It might be $0. Would you still come work for me? Oh, no, I can get an internship for $5,000 a month for Boeing or Micron or some bigger company. So, okay, well, that's no problem. Good luck. And I'm not saying I'm actually going to not pay someone for work, but it's more like a test. But then someone says, well, geez, I'll give up $5,000 and I'll work for Luxus for free for 3 months. Who do you think I'm going to hire out of college? The guy that tried to grind you at 21 years old for an internship for $5,000, or the person that said, I'm willing to invest $5,000 of free time in order to position myself with an incredible entrepreneurial company that I get all this great learning and wisdom, and I'm able to carry that. Who am I going to hire? The person, I'll pay them more than the market at that point. So I think the group right now needs instant, like this generation, instant gratification, instant recognition. I think in our varying generations, nothing was instant. There's no Instagram, and in college, email was just coming out.
There was instant noodles.
Yeah, that was about instant noodles. Is about the only thing you could guarantee.
Did you ever have to live on those? I remember in Indonesia, I first started out, dude, I was eating instant noodles.
Yeah, that's about the only thing that's instant back in those days.
Today's new generation, they have to go to Starbucks.
Yeah, yeah, and spending $1,000 a month on Starbucks. Exactly.
Some people might question, why did I get you from the Luxus group, a property developer, experiential resorts on the podcast, right? But I love to do something that most people don't do. And I learned this from Steve Jobs.
Let's hear it.
Cross-pollination. I love to take things outside my industry and cross-pollinate them within my industry because I love to learn. And if excellence can be learned at any level, like a great book out there in your sphere is The Marriott Way.
Okay, yeah. I haven't read it. I need to read that, Phil.
I tore that book apart because he just had such a high level of excellence and, consistently showed up to create that level of excellence around his people. Every property, every resort, Mr. Marriott would show up and make sure that the level of expectation of taking care of the guests was always experiential and excellent. So I love how you've connected the dots. I went outside my industry to bring things into my industry, like the sales machine, unlike anybody else as well. Like I had the retail doctor on here.
Yes.
He's just amazing how he takes the experience of retail, and he's got like 398,000 followers on LinkedIn. And what he does is he takes every retail store or branch or, chain, and he turns them into an experience. And his goal is, my goal, if you're in a shoe store, my goal is to get you to take off your shoes.
Yes.
In apparel, my goal is to get all the ladies to get their clothes off, right? Because I'm gonna put other clothes on them. And hearing what you are doing as far as an experience is more valuable than any product or just a service out there that is transactional. And I actually did this for salespeople in the sales machine. So there's a lot of CRMs and different things out there as far as address book to keep track of your contacts and your accounts. And that's great. You can use Excel for that. But what I did is I took it and I realized, because I recruit, train, retain, and scale sales teams. But I realized once I got to about 3,000 people, I just couldn't do it anymore. I was dropping the ball. I was the problem in my business. I could not do enough, rewards, recognition, competition, compensation, training. I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't keep up. So I needed automation, right? So I checked out all these systems, and I'm sharing this with you because it's a similar experience, just a different game. So I look at all these different technologies and I talk to these technology companies and I'm like, look, this is what I need. I need levels of development. I need leaderboards. I need gamification. I need a system that people want to use. And they thought I was insane. They're like, look, this is how you track your leads. This is your deal pipeline. I said, that's great. But as a salesperson, what do I care about that for? I care about knowing, where do I stand? Where are my sales? How do I, turn on a system where I can make a phone call, SMS, it does it for me, right? And then I can see my mission control, right? Like Mission Impossible screen, right? They thought I was insane. And I'm like, well, I cannot do this. I can't keep up with my team anymore. So that's why we built the sales machine. And it's an experience for the salesperson. It's an experience for the customer service. Like they can literally, there's a social media feed. Because like you said, the new generation, are you going to stop them from scrolling?
Yes.
Do you think so? Not even in the resort, dude. So they don't have to jump off and go to TikTok, Instagram. They can just comment on each other. They can put their dinner up there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? So now they're all giving recognition to each other. They see the leaderboards. They have rewards. They know what they're going to win at the end of the month. It's the sales machine is Disneyland for salespeople.
Amazing. Sounds incredible.
If it's the experience, people will keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just about getting a customer. It's about getting that customer for life and having them come back. Tell me a little bit about how you went from the 18 and then to 36 and to actually considering building and developing, like you got $1 billion projects now. And how did you make that sale?
I think it's a great point. If I go to the first iteration of Luxus, frankly, we didn't do a great job from the sense of like building a sales machine. And this is where I feel like I would have benefited from this. It was really me and kind of one other person in my organization, maybe two, that really did the majority of the sales. And what we found was, and this is really hard for a company during their grow up stage, is founder's passion is really hard to replace. I'm equivalent to 5 salespeople as an example, because people trust the founder, comes from the horse's mouth, and it's easier to I have a higher close rate as a result. But it was always like hitting the ceiling. You could never grow any quicker than what my time capacity was to talk to people. So we made the shift in the developments. You actually hire like an independent sales team and CRM and track leads and commissions and rewards. Nothing as automated as what you had. They were small, very focused teams on one specific project. But we learned a lot about building a more sophisticated team that didn't rely on Steve. It relied on a team and their approach to ultimately growing. Now we're kind of graduating up another level to say, okay, we need our global sales force of dozens of people. Now it's, well, Steve is good. I play almost no role now in the sales, because even though if I went into the weeds, I could close a lot of people because I'm very excited about it. It's my vision. I'm very proud of it. I'm 100% believe and convicted it's the right thing to do. How do you get sales team members to share that same conviction? And it's really a people thing. It's finding the people that believe in your vision and believe in your dream as if it is their own. Because I think why sales people, quote unquote, sometimes get a bad rap is they're just like an eat what you kill mentality. And that's fine. That's how they make their income. But if they're not actually passionate about whatever service or experience they're selling or product line, the buyer can read through that, and the buyer sees through it very quickly. So when we're building a team now, we hire far more based on culture and their passion for the product versus their actual sales experience. Obviously, they have to be someone that can sell and someone understands it, someone that's trainable. But if someone's deeply passionate about creating memorable vacation experiences for people, or selling a luxury residence in a specific community, they live there and they're buying in, and this is going to help their family. The old thing like facts tell, stories sell. And so, if you have an inauthentic story, it's kind of hard to sell. But if you have an authentic story, be like, oh, my family has been wanting this product forever. And so I joined this company because I can help other families get what I'm now experiencing. And my kids were just learned to snorkel in Hawaii, and we had the best sleep ever. And, all these things, it's a much more authentic story. So now when we hire and we build systems around it, it's really a culture-driven approach to make sure that there's someone that believes in it to the depth I do. And if they don't, that's totally okay. If they only partially believe, that's great, but there's probably a better organization they'll be more successful in. And for those that believe it deeply, we'll train you on everything, but we just need to know that you love it as much as we do. And then from that point, I'd say it's easy because people now aren't working to sell. They're just sharing their passions, their personal stories, their personal experiences, the experiences of others that they brought in. And it's a snowball effect. Like once the flywheel gets going, now we have set that salesperson up for success versus bringing in some rainmaker that came from selling widgets to selling shoes to selling this. Maybe they could sell my product, but do they really believe in it? And so I'm not saying it's the right approach, but it's the approach that's worked extremely well for us. And so we're very particular on that aspect, because we know that if we don't focus on that, we're not going to create the greatest financial success for them and thereby us and all of our investors and everything else. So it's a fun journey. Like it's and we're still learning. Like we're learning every day, and especially the concept of a global sales force versus like these very small pockets. It's a whole nother learning curve for us. And as a 20-year-old company, we're still trying to figure out what the next steps are. So these types of conversations are wonderful to hear how others are doing it and how we can integrate some of that into our systems.
Yeah, I agree, man. And you hit it on the head. The old boiler room, one and done, we eat what we kill, is not sustainable anymore. The people know if you're showing up and throwing up all over them. They understand, right? As soon as they hear you, do you have commission breath or not? People have too many choices now.
Too many choices.
The truth is, you don't want to be one and done. You don't want to kill your customer. You want to be able to serve them and share in their growth and share in their riches and get paid from them growing. That's a very different scenario from the previous generation of salespeople. I'm a salesperson, and I absolutely love to sell, because sales is how I help people. Sales is service, like from Zig Ziglar. Always being always be in service, right? So whenever you're in service, you're never nervous. That's what it is, you know, because you're coming from a place and space of I'm doing this for you, not to you. So I love how you connected the dots with, the soft skills, because it's not talked about enough. Everybody has KPIs and goals, but essentially the structure of your company is your vision. So like our vision is seriously, our vision is about the customer. Our vision is your vision in sales is our mission. And our vision is to help ordinary companies become extraordinary with sales systems. Our core values are I love it. Literally, they spell out I love it, right? Integrity, leadership, opportunity, value, excellence, innovation, and teamwork. I love it.
Yes.
Don't you?
Yeah. It sounds very aligned to ours as well. I love it.
You got to get in where you fit in. And the only way to retain great people, it's been my experience, 30 years, like literally thousands and thousands of people. I'm in direct sales. It's the highest turnover occupation on planet Earth. Direct selling. And it initially used to be door to door selling novelty items. Like it's tough. But so you've got to have a great environment. You've got to have relationships. You've got to have growth, and you have to have purpose, right? When you can check all those boxes, people will stay with you for life. I've got people that's been with me for 25 years, and I'm a high school graduate.
It's a great track record.
It wasn't always easy, man. I made tons of mistakes because I didn't understand all those things. But you've already connected the dots. If it's purposeful, then you got the right guy. You've nailed it. It's not just about having a great attitude. It's having a great attitude and 100% being sold on your vision. That's the right guy. Because then you can skill them up. You can train them up.
Yeah, put them into systems and get them rocking and get them successful. And we just want to create success for people. And that's for our clients and for our team and our partners. And I just know that our formulas create more success when they love the product as much as we do. And for those that don't love it that much or don't use it, they're just not going to be that successful. And that's okay. There'll be a better thing for them to sell somewhere else. And if we could get this next generation, more thinking the long game, versus just taking the corporate America route or whatever. There's so much like a message to them. I'd be listening, just like tag on with an entrepreneurial company on the rise, because I feel like you can learn so much. I would say more necessarily, but a skill set that's more applicable for your life than corporate America. And that will then all of a sudden, maybe it could trigger your own entrepreneurial journey, or you could find another entrepreneur to grow with, or maybe become a minority partner or whatever it may be. Obviously, entrepreneurship is like the buzzword of all the things you should do, but I think younger generations have a very difficult time thinking how I can go ahead start my thing when they have zero resources. Even though every resource is available online these days for free, it still is a scary thing to think about working for free for 3 to 5 years. And but of course, then they see our lifestyles after doing it for 20 years, like, well, I want that lifestyle. It's like you have to suffer for an extended period of time. There's ways to suffer less than others. You could go all in and burn the boats and go full in on your idea, or you can work for an entrepreneur. But I don't see a lot of people spinning out of corporate America to become an entrepreneur. They get in, they're high paid jobs, they got a mortgage in their house. I think it's a harder thing to spin out of. I feel like we've created lots of entrepreneurs through our journey that have seen us and then they've spun off and done their own thing. And I'm like, that's great. I mean, that would be my dream. Someone leaves us to go work for themselves or work for another entrepreneurial-led company. I think that's it creates maximum freedom, potentially the greatest career growth, because the ladder expands very rapidly. So anyhow, I'm fully aligned with you there, John. I think there's an exciting next phase here as the old dogs of sales exit the business. How does the new crop benefit from that? And what should they be? What type of organization or product should they be looking at to sell? Find something you love, and you can start to love something by getting really good at it. You may not know you love travel because you don't travel luxury, but you can learn about it and you can do it, and and that becomes a conduit for you to find the right company to work with.
Along the way in this journey, and I took this journey. I got out of the Navy, and I was raised by a single mom, and so my purpose was no matter what, I got to buy my mom a house.
Love it.
I got out of the Navy and I could fix the central atmospheric monitoring system on the space shuttle or $1 billion nuclear powered submarine, but no one would hire me. I had the GI Bill and I'm like, well, I'll use that to go to college, but college didn't start for like 3 months, right? So I got a job just selling door to door. They're the only people that would take a shot on me. I mean, they wouldn't even let me sell cars, right? I'm like, man, I can't even be a car salesman. I guess I really suck at sales. Did I love what I was doing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was literally running door to door selling fucking baggy pants like the ones they used to wear, different colors in gyms and stuff for $10. But I would sell the hell out of them, 40, 50 pair a day, make a couple $100. I shared that with people today. I'm like, if you don't love what you do, then fall in love with why you do it until you can do something you do love. And I actually went from not loving what I was doing to knowing, and I was in love with why I was doing, because I bought my mom a house twice. I fell in love with helping others do the same. And so I always call it the greatest success in the world is leading from behind, when I can be at the back of the stage and I see all my people coming up on stage, receiving awards or taking the business to the next level. I just think that's the fucking greatest accomplishment in the world. And I look at my people and a lot of times, I have tears rolling down my face as I watch these people, and I've groomed them. One of my guys just had a heart attack, and he's been with me for 20 years, and he's young. He's like 40.
Oh, wow.
I flew to Indonesia. I went all the way to the province to see him, but he's been with me literally. So it's like my son. Since he was 18 years old, I groomed this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what an amazing experience. But then, I get there and he's already out of the hospital. He's at his home. And the beautiful thing is he's in a brand new home. It's beautiful. It's huge. His wife was also one of my mentees, and they were so grateful. They're like, John, we have this house because of you.
Yeah, it's great.
We're so grateful with our house, our cars, our kids are in college. And you come all the way here out in the province. And I said, I love you guys. Of course I'm going to come, you idiot. So I just love that. I love that you have that culture. And you said earlier, and it's priceless, because people need mentors. They need leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stephen, if you were around when I was a teenager, I would have latched onto you and said, show me the way. I would have happily said, show me the way, show me what I have to do. I just was hungry to learn because I never had a father. I just wanted direction. There's a lot of people out there in companies, they just need direction. And you talked about you're an introvert, right? Most people call me an extrovert. I'm really like an extraterrestrial because I've conditioned myself, because I am a right brain dude. I'm fucking out there. I don't care. I love people. I love having fun. But then at the same time, I've conditioned myself. Every day I get up and I take a time out. I meditate, non-negotiable. I visualize, non-negotiable. Now this year, I'm even doing it before I sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I just know I need that, right? So that I can give myself that space to think and to continue growing. What are some of the personal habits that you have that have really empowered you? Because, lots of people set goals, they never achieve them. And for me, I know it's because of their habits, right? Their habits is what sabotages their goals. So any advice to business owners, whether they're just starting out or they're struggling, what advice would you give them that you personally either, do on a consistent basis,
Mm-hmm.
that's made the biggest difference for you? Because 20 years, blood, sweat, tears. And most importantly, what no one really wants to talk about is all those fears that they had to overcome along the way.
Yeah, no, happy to talk about it. I just want to acknowledge something you said that was profound, just about like not everyone knows what they love when they're coming out of college or as a young adult. And you said something, it's the why you do it sometimes versus just like the what it is. So like you're right, for your mom's story, for your story about buying a house for your mom, you didn't love what you did, but you loved the outcome that it was going to create. And then sometimes through just hard work and doing something, you actually fall in love with it because you realize you're good at it. So that was really important. I just wanted to reference that. I think that's like maybe the most important message here, because I've had, mentees for myself that, well, I'm not sure what I really want to do. I'm like, I don't blame you. I didn't know until I was 27 when I've kind of found the path. And obviously I'm 43 now, I didn't know where this company would grow. I just started to go down a road that I knew that I could, make a positive impact. But sometimes you just have to do for an extended period of time to find out. But it's nice if there's a why at the end. Like in my, buying your mom house is maybe one of the greatest whys for me. Is my kids, creating a great life for them and showing them the opportunities that could exist when you work hard. And so our kids now are 17 and 13. They're very involved in the business. They understand it very well. They're very smart. They're very business savvy, because we've tried to not just shelter them from it. When we had our hard times, they knew about it. They knew the consequences. When they had our good times, they knew about it, what it could create for a lifestyle. So I think that, it's whether it's a child or a mentee or someone latching on that to be open about the fears and the insecurities that come with entrepreneurs, the journey. And I've had many and still do. But you just get more confident on your ability to overcome them because you've been through, multiple cycles of it. So I just want to say thanks for sharing that. And I will share some habits, but that was a really important message, I think, for anyone listening, that it's like, oh, I would love to do that. Well, it's not just you just can't jump to that, to selling luxury real estate or selling luxury travel. You have to find a path to it. And sometimes it's doing something you don't want to do for an extended period of time till you have the resources to do it. So anyway, well said, John. I appreciate that.
That actually happened in Japan. So off the cuff, I went with my partner, one of my business partners, to Japan, and unbeknownst to me that he's speaking to 130 business owners in the morning. And he's just like, come with me. They picked us up at the hotel in a Lamborghini, that new US SUV, right? And I'm like, so, all right, this is a nice car. And I'm a car guy, right? So we get there and they bring him up in front of this 130 entrepreneurs, and he goes through his spiel, and he's going through his PPP, passion, product, and people, and then they're all running their own business, selling energy, solar, water, electricity, internet. Anyway, then they call me up, and I'm like, okay, well, So I just asked a lot of questions, and they're asking me, how do you achieve success, and because they told both of our stories. So I just went up to the front of the room, and subconsciously I just drew. I said, you guys got a marker, a red one. So I drew a heart around the PPP, and I said, well, I don't know about you guys, but I can just tell you about my journey. And if you want to be successful, and I know you guys are just starting out, some of you have been around for years.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs said it. If you want to do great work, do what you love. Well, not all of us have that luxury of paying for mom and dad paying for our college, and Steve Jobs' mom and dad did. Even though he dropped out later, he did have that luxury. So I said, for me, you want to do great work. If you don't love what you do, then fall in love with why you're doing it until you can do what you love. And that will make all the difference at the end of the day. Because that journey, like you've been on, Stephen, like I've been on, has brought you to where you are today and allowed you to develop those habits, because it's purposeful what you're doing with your boys. And I'm doing the same thing with my boy, and he turns 6 tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday in advance.
Yeah, his name is Sky. I'm a late bloomer, but boy, oh boy, I love to be a dad. So let's talk about those habits people need.
Sure. I'd say probably the greatest investment I've made in my life outside of my business has been my health. and my wife is very much aligned, which is great. But people say there's 24 hours in a day, and it's the ultimate equalizer in life is the amount of hours in a day. But it's really the hours of highly focused, productive time within a day that you can multiply that. In some cases, could be many times over a day. My 10-hour day is probably the average person's 2 days, or 2.5 days to the level of work I can get done within a day. But there's only so much you can do just based on like pure like purpose and like grit and like grinding. Health, like the physiology and the biology you have, how you treat your body and your mind and everything else is what also can create. It's a computer running on old software versus new software. New software just produces a faster outcome. So for me, we've spent a lot of time the last decade, but I think the last 5-6 years in particular, really understanding things around biohacking and things that can help us accelerate your health and wellness without having to spend 30 hours a week doing it, on a treadmill or whatever it may be. And you start to realize the science coming out around this is just phenomenal. Cold therapy and certain fitness regimes and elements like that take very minimal amounts of time that can significantly accelerate your awareness, your ability to focus for the day. So everything we do from, I still have my treats and my cocktails and my indulgences, but for the most part, my work day is very, very structured. And my health day, I should say, is very structured. I have very little time between I get up and I start work. And usually some people have a really great morning routine. Mine's pretty quick. It's up, cold therapy of some sort, cold shower, cold plunge, something, immediate alertness, adrenaline. You have immediate like cortisol release. You're focused instantaneously. Wait 90 minutes before I have coffee because then it gets you a much longer lag through the day. And I do enjoy caffeine, and it's totally good for you if you manage it correctly.
Come on, bulletproof diet.
Yeah, and I have a great like coffee blend that's MCT oils and good caffeines, and all of a sudden now I've got just a higher degree of focus as someone dragging their butt out of bed, alarms going off. It's they haven't got their exercise. I feel my exercise sometimes during the day. Often it's just sometimes a walk, sunlight exposure. All these things are very minor things that are free to us. Cold water is generally free to everyone. Certain climates only get you such cold of water level, but at the end of the day, you can slap some cold water in your face, you can get some sunlight in your eyeballs, and you can choose to put the right things in your body in the first hours of the day. And that alone, that takes almost no time, like literally zero time. I now have like the physiology of my body now, it can react for a much longer period of sustainability at a very high degree of productivity for the day. So that would probably be my biggest habit that I've integrated. And now as a result, I can work 8 or 10 hours in a row without food and breaks and everything else in a way that now, sure, you have whatever break, a walk or something in between, but at a high degree of productivity that I ever could in the past without kind of implementing these kind of things that trigger the right things going on in your body to maximize. And now I just get 2 times the amount of work done in a day that I used to, and probably 3 times the amount as an average person can do in a day. And I'm generalizing, of course, I may not be accurate, but at the end of the day, I know where I used to be, and I can say for certain I get twice the amount of work done today's thing. When I have 2 kids, busy lifestyle, busy companies, different divisions, I have the ability to do it. And it's still a stretch, some days are harder than others, but with those things built into the day, and all this stuff's free. Like people can Google this stuff, but people spend like hours on a treadmill and hours doing this, and that, and they just suck up this precious time in the day when you can get the same impact or greater for a much smaller effort. So maximum benefit, least amount of effort, least amount of time effort, I should say, and then that just gets you rolling. So I'd probably say that's maybe the biggest habit adjustment the last kind of 5-6 years of my life that has served me very well.
I went to a Tony Robbins event, and I was talking to, and I was clueless years ago, about 15 years ago. And, everybody was talking about, well, what life management system do you use? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, yeah, don't you have a life management system? I'm like, what? I didn't get the memo. Mom taught me can't, never did anything. Grandpa taught me, look where you're going, not where you've been. And that's priceless advice. But I didn't ever have like a life management system. I didn't understand what was going on in this, self-help seminar. People were like, did you have a breakthrough? Did you have a breakthrough? I said, what the fuck is a breakthrough? I don't even understand that, right? I've had a couple breakdowns, but I haven't had a breakthrough. Anyway, I went on to get to know Tony, and I traveled the world with him. But then,
Cool.
he has his own psychology and methodology, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, sure is.
I got to know him. I was a platinum partner for a while, traveled the world with the best experiences. But then I just decided, I wanted to do something for my son. And so I wrote a book called The Life Mastery Playbook. And I literally use this thing every day to hack. Like what you're saying, like my top 10 to win: sleep, meditation, workout, mind feed, visualization, goal, gratitude, connection, wins. That's my 10 to win. And nutrition, what I put in is what I got to get out. And I literally keep score with this thing every day. I get up, I write all about what I'm grateful for. And I did this and this is all built for my boy Sky, because I felt like I was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro the day I found out my lady was pregnant, right?
Wow.
And I'm like, she gave me the ultrasound.
Oh, wow. Incredible.
Right. And so this was going to print, and I just dedicated it to him. And I'm like, if you just show up every day and your mindset is, keep moving forward, keep stacking wins, keep getting stronger, then you will. And I see that in you, Stephen. You're a living example of that. And I'm grateful you got to jump on the podcast. People, you got to check out Luxus Group. You got to check out the resorts. Where can I go experience? Because I'm down. I love luxury. Like I said, I love Tuscany, dude. Tuscany, the most picturesque, postcard, beautiful countryside on planet Earth.
Yes.
We do Ferrari trips there, and oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
Yeah. So where can people go and seriously experience this Luxus Group's experiential resorts?
Sure. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And it's funny, on social media, I've not been very active. I've kind of, in my time, anonymously tried to build this company, and not for any reason, maybe more than I'm an introvert, to just didn't really want to be sharing my journey socially. That will change a little bit as time goes on. But from a Luxus perspective, you can go to Luxus. So think of the car company, both a U, Luxus VP. So it's on luxusvacationproperties.com. And we're getting ready, like this next month, to launch this portfolio of homes. So if people want to travel the right way, like a way that's going to have an undeniably better experience than you're going to get by just a typical VRBO or Airbnb, luxusvp.com is going to be the place. And we're going to have blogs, and I'm going to start getting more active on Instagram and social media again, and start to put out some of the things we've learned along the way in this space. And under luxusvp.com, you'll find links to our various other companies that we have in different parts of the world. And it's a great place just to kind of a landing page for it. But go there, book a vacation, experience a Luxus trip. You'll never go back. If that's something that fits your budget and your time of life to have an experience like that. This isn't all high end. It's high end, but it's not like ultra luxury. This is meant to be for a large demographic of people. And then follow us along on that. I do have Instagram, Stephen Petasky, but it's not very active yet. But I do intend, through people like yourself that inspire me along the way, that are putting out good vibes in the universe, that we'll start being more active on that. And that'll be a way to follow a bit of our personal journey. But that would be the place to go, luxusvp.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, absolute pleasure to have Stephen Petasky on the show. Life lessons, business lessons, and how you want to take your business to the next level. A great example to take these nuggets out of this podcast and start implementing. And it doesn't matter about your goals as much as the standard is the standard, and the habits that you actually do every single day is what's going to allow you to scale your business to $100 million. Have a great day. That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining me today. And if you got value from this episode, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and refer a friend. And if you want even more value, go to thesalesmachine.com, click on resources, and there's tons of resources there to increase profits and drive performance in your business. Right on, come on.